a recent favourite is you asked me to be best man.
The best battle I fought in, though, it has to be...
That's a cool line, isn't it?
It is the Battle of Hastings reenactment in obviously battle. Life since then has shown that I'm not the golden child anymore. But I have grown to like Will. There was once upon a time where Will grew his stubble and he then dyed it with beard dye.
Prove it.
And I'm gonna be silly and I'm gonna say Joe Abercrombie. Is that the one dedicated to you?
Yeah.
Git.
You've taught me many things to copy you and many things to avoid. In the nicest way possible.
Who makes you grin more? Faith or...
That is a leading question. Has Papa Gwin started writing anything new?
Readers,
Reviewers,
countrymen,
lend us your ears. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreons.
Thank you to the Pit Fighters, the First Swords, and all of the Bright Stars, Truth and Courage.
Hello and welcome to the channel today. We are celebrating 4 years of Booktube. It's been crazy.
It has been crazy.
Yeah. 4.5 years ago, Ed started trying to convince me to do a Booktube channel. I said, no. I haven't got time, I'm afraid, Ed.
I begged and begged and begged.
For 6 months, you persevered, and to your credit, you did it. And I sat down in front of the camera. We were terrible. We've now hidden our original introduction video because it's just awful. And we did a new one. Yeah. But here we are 4 years later. Thank you, Ed. You did a good thing.
Well,
I've had fun.
It's Dr. Fantasy's fault because I watched his discussion on Malice and his reviews of the Faith and the Fallen.
Actually.
We all did, and that was the kind of the catalyst really that made me decide that I really wanted to do a Booktube channel, because just seeing people talk about Papa Gwin's books, I was so jealous. Like, obviously we talk about it with Papa Gwin himself and each other over the dinner table, but to talk with other people and listen to what they thought positively, because I don't put up with any negative.
It's not allowed.
But it was amazing, and that is the reason why we started this YouTube channel. So we're going to be talking, I'm afraid, about ourselves.
I know.
We've got quite a few questions to get through. Asked a few.
Too much, I think.
Asked on Instagram and Discord and YouTube, of course. So thank you very much to everyone who asked a question. If your question's not featured, then it's probably because it's been doubled up with another person's question. Yeah. We'll start off with our Patreons.
Of course we will.
And then we'll move on to Discord and then
Instagram
and so forth.
Yeah, so
thank you.
First of all, thanks to everyone who's actually interested enough to ask a question. I'm surprised how many we got for just two brothers that like to argue on camera. Yeah. But let's get straight into it. Let's get into the Patreon questions. So first up, Natasha gave us a few. Thank you, Natasha. Looking forward to answering these. So a lot of them are going to put us on the spot. There might be a lot of umming and ahhing.
Yeah.
So first up is, you're going on a quest, choose a crew of fictional characters. We have actually done a video, choose your own warband, haven't we? Which people can check out.
We should probably redo that because it could have changed. How many characters should we choose?
Should we choose 3 each?
3 each, cool.
I'm going to choose Brasty, good bow.
As your archer. Cool.
But also just good company. He's going to keep morale high.
Yeah,
you know. I'm also going to choose Craft. Scout, but also quite funny. Perches on the shoulder. Doesn't need much food. Pretty easy going.
Yeah.
Oh, you do too, whilst I think of my third.
So my warrior would be Polynikes from Gates of Fire, who is... He has aura, and I hate to say that word.
But he's got aura.
He's a Sigma male. He honestly has aura. He is an incredible character who goes through fire, literally. Nice. And my animal companion would have to be Storm, because she's the goodest girl, isn't she? Yeah. I love a wolf. Wolves are my favourite character, favourite animals. So yeah.
Let's have 3 people and an animal. So we've got an animal each, so 2 more.
The rules
because I want to choose Corban, because I think we just be best friends.
What?
We would be best friends with him.
I was going to say, he wouldn't be best friends with you. He'd be best friends with me, because he's also in my warband. Corban's my favourite character.
And Derval from the Warlord Chronicles.
Yeah, nice. I would choose Boudica Breaker from Dreaming the Eagle for her leadership skills. Yeah. So Corban, Polynikes, Boudica, and Storm.
You know what? I'm choosing Boudica.
No, you
over
can't copy me.
I'm choosing Boudica over Derval.
Really?
Sorry. Yeah.
Over Derval, yeah.
Yeah. And can I choose an author? Can I choose Robin Hobb? I want to spend some time with Robin Hobb. She's not fictional, but I want her in my group.
I would choose Joe Abercrombie.
So sorry, Natasha,
to write them.
Yeah. Sorry, Natasha, we're breaking the rules already. But onto your next question is, so what are music preferences? So we're quite random, aren't we?
Yeah.
Ed's known in the family as someone who goes through extreme phases.
I'm
at
very
one point,
impressionable.
you were going through your skateboarding phase at the same time as your samurai Japanese history phase.
So I had a skateboard with
with samurai art on it.
and I'd wear my katana while skateboarding.
So your music changes a lot, but you found a consistency in Western music now, like country.
That is my most listened to playlist. I mean, Chris Stapleton, Tyler Childers are my favourites. At the moment, I like Zach Bryan is very good. Zach Top as well. So yeah.
Nice. I would say Chris Stapleton and also Paolo Nutini are my two
You
most
are a
consistent.
big Paolo Nutini fan. I mean, I love to listen to soundtracks. I've got like multiple soundtracks depending on like medieval or Viking. So Hai Long are great for medieval, for Viking kind of esque soundtracks. I'm knee deep in the Dune Part 2 score at the moment and just love it so much.
Nice. And I also love Larkin Poe. I'm not sure if they're sisters, but
I think so.
yeah, I think that's, or maybe really good friends.
Yeah.
Country music again, and they are fantastic.
Very nice.
And then Natasha, thank you for all the questions. We have another one. Will we see any reenactment videos? So you might get more into reenactment again, mightn't you?
Yeah, I haven't done it for a little while. It's just hard to find the time. We used to do it all together as a family, and it's kind of...
Oldest brother's been selfish and moved away.
Exactly. Papa Gwyn's been busy, obviously had family things going on. I've had Iris as well. And you go to Durham University. But reenactment is one of my major passions. And I would love to go back into it. I'm hoping to go to Jorvik next year as part of the Vikings group, and also go to Tewkesbury next year, which is the best medieval festival, and fight there, because I fought there before. The best battle I fought in, though, it has to be...
That's a cool line, isn't it?
Is the Battle of Hastings reenactment in obviously battle. And it is incredible because there was about 50 Norman knights charging up the hill at us, because I was the Saxon, in the Saxon front line. And just like going one-on-one versus a knight, like a Norman knight on a horse, was one of the most intense experiences I've ever been through. And I forgot it wasn't real. Yeah. It felt real. So that was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, so I guess that leads into the next question. We haven't done HEMA. We focus on Viking.
I've done HEMA.
Have you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done HEMA.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Studied a little bit of Fiore della Berti.
Nice.
The Italian sword master. I've done HEMA with our medieval group, because I used to go a little bit more than you did, didn't I? We've done. I've done a little bit of HEMA. You've probably done some, not in a specific that environment, I guess. But yeah, I've done a little bit. Not. I'd love to get back into it. I think there is actually a HEMA group in Brighton, perhaps, that we should go to.
And then also, I do need a tweed jacket to look a bit more like Philip Chase.
You've got a couple.
I think I need to read a bit more of the Best of Fantasy before I do that. And then next up, we got your True Shelf, great channel.
Great channel, love
and
channel.
We got some questions, thank you. And so if you could safely time travel back to a period of history as a spectator, if you want, which time would you choose? It's good if we've added as a spectator, because anything
I want to
die.
be a participant.
You know what? I would want to go back to solve kind of some of the mysteries. Arthur. Let's go back to Arthur.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
What was his role?
Yeah.
Was he real? Mm-hmm. Or was he a piece of propaganda to kind of uplift spirits?
Yeah.
1066. What really happened with Harold Godwinson?
Good choice.
Boudica.
Yeah.
I want to meet Boudica and Caradoc.
Yeah. I think I would have to choose... I mean, I have an obsession with the Swedish trading town Björka in the 10th century. So obviously it's the Viking Age, it's the Dark Ages, the early medieval period. And I would love to see Björka as a trading hub, just seeing what it was like, because it was one of the first in the Viking Ages. And it only lasted about 70, 80 years, and then everyone just disappeared, and we don't know why. And the graves, the mounds there it's probably the richest graves, as in plentiful, that we have found in the modern day. So yeah, I'd love to.
You mean riches in terms of like information?
There's so much. Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
And obviously we get the legend of the female warlord from Björka, because there was a female in a grave who was wearing what was considered men's clothing, had men's arms, had wounds in her body that shown that she had been to war. So a lot of these things, when we're talking about the female warrior in the Viking Ages, the Valkyrie, it comes from that grave, and I would love to see a bit more about that. I think there was also a ship that was sunk, and I think it was the 10th century as well, and it was off the coast of, I think Latvia,
right?
It passed the Baltic, and I think it had like 40 or so soldiers in it, and a couple of them were females who had wounds in their bodies that were from war as well. So I'd be interested to see about that. Or another time period, ancient Greece. I just would love to have seen what happened at Marathon, and that period just really fascinates me. It's so colourful. It's a turning point in Western civilization. So
it's not black and white. No. And part of the reason I love history is that it's still a living, breathing subject.
Yes.
More things are being discovered, so much down to archaeology. Which is what I love about... 50 years ago, people would have scoffed at the idea of a female Viking warrior, a female Norse warrior. Now things are changing. And then I even read today a tomb of a pharaoh was discovered, the first in a century.
This thing, we're just finding stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And what frustrates me about non-fiction is that the assumption there is that the average person in the 21st century has a wider understanding of pretty much everything than people in history did.
Yeah.
Whereas I completely disagree with that. Like, obviously, we know that the Earth is not flat.
Yeah.
Some people don't know that. But the things they know, their specific knowledge about, like the seasons and how this works and how to build this, I think we always take it for granted that they were people who were specialists in their area because they did it all day, every day. So,
yeah, it's true. And then the next question is, how much longer am I, Will? How much longer do I have at uni, and what might I do afterwards? So the question is, I've got a year and a half left. Then I'll be applying for a master's at Oxford, which is of course a huge stretch. Probably won't get it, but I aspire to.
Probably not.
We can try, and it'll be a good experience just applying. And then whether I do that will add a year, but the aim is to do a law conversion. And then perhaps some other exciting things along the way.
Prime Minister?
Yeah, no way. So thank you for that question. And then, would you like to judge for a book prize? I think I wouldn't want to be the only one. If I was like a panel of judges...
I would.
I think if it was a panel of judges, I would love it. I think if I was the only one, it would be too much pressure, because there is a difference between a book that you love and a book that you think is kind of the best written.
Yeah.
I'd use kind of Papa Gwin as an example.
Yeah.
I think Ruin is my favourite book by Papa Gwin, but I'd say that the Bloodsworn Saga is far better written. And I think if I was the only judge for a book award, I'd find it really difficult to distinguish between the two for who to choose. Whereas I think I'd feel less of that if it was a panel.
I love choosing winners and victors, and I would like to be a judge.
There we go.
Just on my own.
Well, thank you for those questions. And now, a big question from Elise. How did you meet? Well, Ed has a very sad story of how he met me. He says it was the end.
I'll tell it.
He says it was the end.
So I had a beautiful 6-year life, and I had long hair, long curly, bushy blonde hair, and it was beautiful. I was probably the favourite. I was the golden child. I was the baby of the family. I had everything I wanted. And then one day, Mama Gwyn said she was pregnant. And I didn't quite understand what it meant. Now, on his birthday, when he was 0, on the day you were born, some people would say, I did go and watch The Two Towers at the cinema instead of going to visit him, but I had to see him after, unfortunately. And then since then...
Mum and Papa Gwyn said it's the happiest day of their life.
That's the thing. They lied. But unfortunately, life since then has shown that I'm not the golden child anymore. But I have grown to like Will.
And I saw there is a question later about how we always got on, so we'll save the rest of the story for then. But then Dan, he said, if I challenge Ed to a fight in the circle and win, will I get Ed's fluffy jumper?
I believe he means this jumper. Dan, I can reward you with this if you beat me in the circle, but we shall see. I might have a witch behind the scenes singing about my tattoos. Who knows?
Who knows? And then next out, a question for you, Ed, from Emerald. Thank you for the questions. First up, so Ed, what are some tips for reading as much with a baby and full-time job? because everyone said that she has a 5-month-old baby.
Congratulations.
And cannot seem to manage more than a few chapters a day. Okay. Congratulations. But
congrats.
Time is the enemy, isn't it?
Time is the enemy. I've found that if I really looked into what I was doing with my life, was that I was spending a lot of time still on my phone, still not being present. So I do get to listen to audiobooks a lot, especially with my new job. And travelling, etc. as well. So that's great. But I just think any opportunity, grab a book, read a chapter. You know, if Iris goes to sleep for half an hour, I'll quickly try and get a couple of chapters in if I can. Always reading at bedtime, putting my phone away, trying to put it away as early as I can so I'm not on it, which is hard, and especially like if you're doing a read long as well. Like I want to write my thoughts on the Discord or something, or write my thoughts down, or writing notes, but then you look at your phone and then you get distracted. I think it's just being strict with yourself and making avenues that you can then read in. And also I love to read to Iris as well, even if she doesn't understand it. She loves to read about Logan Ninefingers too. So
of course she does.
Yeah, but congratulations. It's the best thing in the world.
And then reading, I guess, is below it.
It's close.
But it's good. But it's good. And then question for me is, do you ever think about writing your own book after finishing uni? I do indeed. Whether I've got the quality, that question is yet to be answered.
Will is a very gifted writer, and I've read a couple of short stories by him that I still think about today. So Will definitely does have the quality. He just doesn't have the time right now.
Not right now.
A story of...
Yeah, I've got a few things that I'm working on. One is basically just to kind of hone my writing craft, because I'm atrocious at dialogue, like so terrible. It's like we tried to write a film script once, didn't we? And it was so bad because dialogue... Maybe now you've been writing a lot longer now, Ed. We can talk about more of that later. Maybe you'll be a bit better at it. But... yeah, we were awful at dialogue. So I definitely do want to be a writer one day, but that is yet to be determined. Papa Gwin just sets such a high bar, doesn't he? How good he is. Like, how can we live up to that? But we'll be talking about what Ed's been doing lately. Very exciting news. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then now going on to the Discord questions. And so Ballista said, how did you get into Westerns or Old West history? Ed, do you want to lead the way? Because I've read a few Westerns, but really you are the Western man. Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to, as a child, my granddie was a big John Wayne fan, big John Ford fan. So we'd always, watch any John Wayne film. Our favourite was The Road to El Dorado, which is a fantastic film. And it's got Jimmy Caan in as well, so that's fantastic. And... I think just from then, I always had a fascination with the American West. The Last of the Mohicans, growing up, was probably my favourite film after The Lord of the Rings. So seeing how the Mohawk, the Huron, how they lived in the Great Lakes was really fascinating to me. And I think what kickstarted it, which also kickstarted my new love of reading, was... reading The Sisters Brothers by Patrick DeWitt, and after that I then read, in the space of a month I'd read The Sisters Brothers, Blood Meridian and The Sun by Philip Meyer.
Because you were ill at the same time, weren't you? So
I was ill, and I just actually started teaching. It was my first year of teaching, and it kind of just kick-started my love for the American West as well, and it was always there because of my granddie. But yeah, I think that's probably the main... and those three books...
So the Coles were there.
And I read Butcher's Crossing straight away after that as well. So those 4 books in a row, I don't think you can read a better four books in a row.
No, yeah, you covered it pretty quickly, didn't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the answer to that. And then we've got a few questions from Violetta, who I hope your Lord of the Rings first experience is going well for reading it. Was a fan of Tom Bombadil, I'm afraid, Ed. A bit unsure at first, but
you can't be a perfect individual.
Tom Bombadil's great. So, first question is, if you could live a day in the life of one character, who would you choose? Why? And basically that. Yeah.
Just any character? Yeah. I would have to choose Krath.
Yeah. I was going to say the exact same, because he gets what he wants. It's a cosy life, no big responsibilities.
Yeah.
And it's not actually that hard a choice, because 95% of the books we read, terrible things happen to the characters, don't they? Or they just live a really stressful life. Whereas Kraft, he has some bad things, but he's also got a cosy one as well.
Yeah. Or maybe Jazal in The Blade itself.
Looking at his jaw. It must give him great happiness. But next up is, what is one book you would recommend to everyone? Do you want to go first, Ed?
I would probably, to everyone, I would recommend probably Dreaming the Eagle by Amanda Scott, because it covers such a wide breadth of the human experience and there's a lot to get out of it. And it's about a strong female character. It's about a man who is struggling with identity, which I think lots of people can relate to.
Yeah.
And it's also about defying the odds and found family. It's got a lot of stuff in there to love. So yeah, and it's just written beautifully.
I guess we can't say Papa Gwin because might be a bit biased. So I think I'll go with the Warlord Chronicles, Bernard Cornwell.
Yeah.
So Arthurian legend, it's incredible characters, it's moving, it's unique, and it's just what I love about reading, basically. I can't believe you put us on the spot to choose just one. We can come back with 30 next time. But we don't have time for that now. What is the book that got you into fantasy in particular? Malice. I was more of a maths kid. And then Papa Gwin.
Will was like Good Will Hunting. You just sit there just doing numbers.
I really was not on that level. Like the 5-year-old version.
Mopping and doing equations
up and down the living room.
Chalkboard.
But yeah, Malice, it just Papa Gwin telling us stories. Obviously, you're older, so you're more of a beta reader for Malice.
Yeah, and Alpha.
Dang it. But I just fell in love with reading with Malice. We'll answer some questions later on about what Papa Gwin read to us, first books we read in fantasy. But yeah, that is just the first book that I absolutely adored. Of course, we've got the added bonus of being so immersed and knowing everything about it from Papa Gwin. And the characters felt real to us.
Yeah, it's a very good choice, Will. I'd read a little bit of fantasy before Malice had spawned from Papa Gwyn's brain. And my favourites were always The Hobbit, of course, which Papa Gwyn actually always told the story to us, so he would tell me the story. But the first one I really, really loved reading, or the first couple, were The Book of Three by Lord Alexander, which is Welsh mythology, and also The Belgariad by David Eddings. Were great.
Yeah. Nice.
Very formative.
And then next up, we're going to have to skip one because it includes spoilers, but I will answer on Discord. But who is your favourite fantasy villain and why? That's so hard. I love a fantasy villain who you understand it from their perspective. Like there's a few in Pierce Brown's Red Rising series. I can't say who because it's kind of surprising.
Yeah,
the villains
some of these are. It's hard to say because.
But I guess we can say the series that they are in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have to peruse behind me. I think Sword of Kaigan deals with villains incredibly well, in ways that are unique. You hate characters, the twists and turns, understanding from their perspective. So much is magnificent in Sword of Kaigan. What else? There's so many books. I think a villain I absolutely adore is in We Are the Dead. Mike Shackle thought, what is the greatest gift someone could have? And he thought it's the power of healing. And he thought, what would that look like in the hands of a villain? And you hate this character. And it's so clever to think of that idea about taking something so beautiful like being able to heal anyone of everything and using it for evil. This person tortures people, he will do stuff to them and then heal them so he can do it again for more information, which is just horrifying, but just genius.
There is a character in The Daughter's War who is probably my most recent favourite villain, who I grow to hate, and the character kind of comes out of left field, because the journey they go on and the way that you are grown to despise this person is written very, very well. So I would say that.
Next out, a question from Beth. So when is Will going to grow a matching moustache? The thing is, Beth, I just can't.
There was once upon a time where Will grew his stubble and he then dyed it with beard dye.
Prove it.
And I can, Will.
Okay, I was 16.
There are...
Okay.
No, Will.
Oh, no, I was 17.
The videos are on our Booktube channel. If you look very, very early on the channel, you will see a couple of videos where Will has decidedly dark hair. And
I will be removing those videos.
It's unnatural.
It's not good.
It's a good look. I think you look very handsome.
Thank you, Ed.
Yes, okay.
But then last November, for Men's Mental Health in November, grew my moustache. It grew about an inch in a month. A centimetre in a month. And it didn't look very good. So the answer is probably never. I can accept Ed has got a good moustache on him, and I won't try to rival him. And then Dan said, to be or not to be? I'd rather be, you know. Or would you rather not to be?
I'd rather not to be.
I love the video of actors showing the power of language. Ian McKellen, to be or not to be.
To be or not to be.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
To be or not to be.
Do you want to give us another one?
No.
No, but it's a great video. And then Imi, incredible Instagram page, did a great introduction to all Papa Gwin's works, and has more of his works than we do.
Yeah,
all
completely.
the short story anthologies. How have you got your hands on them?
And you should see Imi's painting of Orca, which is just incredible. Papa Gwin has a painting of Snakovic in his office by Imi. So yeah, go check out Imi's Instagram. Bookstagram, we should say.
We should say. And Imi said if you could pick 2 characters from all 3 of Papa Gwin's series, which 2 would you like to see against each other in hand-to-hand combat?
Oh.
So, me and Ed have had arguments, but I've actually been corroborated by Papa Gwin that he said the number 1 warrior in The Faith and the Fallen is Matt Gwyn.
No.
Is Matt Gwyn.
No.
Papa Gwin said it himself.
No.
And then, the thing is, I could say Matt Gwyn and Orca, but they're similar style fighters, so I wouldn't want to see that.
So you want them to die?
No. This is a friendly duel.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You know.
Okay.
Matt Gwyn and who else? Vesley. I would choose Vesley. You know, Tooth Fairy in action.
Yeah, she would eat his gnashers. I would. Oh, I'd have to choose Glornir. One of my favourite jumpers. This design was by Kevin from Beer is the Mind Killer. And this is going to be part of our merchandise. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But I would have to choose Glornir versus Tull. I think that would be a sick duel. What a guy.
I think it might be a bit one-sided, but...
Really?
Yeah.
You think... Glornir would lose?
No.
Oh, you think Tull would lose?
Yes.
I don't know. No, but Tull's tricky.
He is tricky. He's old for a reason.
Yeah.
Not a quote from him, but he's got many tricks up his sleeve, and
Or I'd like to see Cullen versus Hallion. Would be cool.
That would be
Because Hallion's
cool.
great.
Hallion's fantastic.
Hallion,
Who's better, Hallion or Connell?
Well, that's the thing.
I think Connell.
Cold under pressure or Connell?
I think Connell, just as a force of nature, just powers through.
Yeah.
Hallion against a few, Connell against just one.
Yeah.
We could talk about this all day long. But next up, we have another question from Beth is, when will you do an American tour? Nothing's planned, but if Papa Gwin does ever go to America for a tour, which she would love to do...
following him along and giving him the bill.
We will be jumping in that bandwagon.
Yes,
and we will be over there. And we would love to meet people that we consider friends that we've talked to over Booktube, such as Philip Chase as well. But then next up, Violetta, another question. Thank you. Does American English bother you when you read? Obviously, we read the English text, but for uni, there's a lot of American academic papers I read, and it doesn't really get to me.
No,
not really.
I'm not fussed at all. I actually quite like it sometimes.
Wow,
It makes sense.
Spice it up a bit.
Yeah.
Whoa. Let's not continue which one. Let's not open that discussion up. But then another question from Beth is, so what do you think distinguishes bad books from books that simply aren't for you? That's a really intriguing question, and I think we could talk about that for half an hour. On the spot, I probably won't say this very eloquently, but every reader is subjective and has their own focuses, and I think the older I've got, the more I've realised what those are for me. Like at the moment, I'm searching for fantasy that's unique, and that's where kind of Gardens of the Moon scratched that itch for me. I would say, you were talking about the spear...
that cuts through water.
And you said that it didn't really click with you, but why would you say you recognised...
It was written in such a unique and fresh way that I can see why people love the story, the style of storytelling. It did have an interesting premise.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, the prose doesn't land for me. Sometimes it's characters. Like Brandon Sanderson, the prose doesn't... Well, the prose... I don't mind his prose, which is what people talk about the most, but I would say his characters, which are obviously meant to be such an important part of his books...
Yeah.
really leave me feeling underwhelmed. So it does depend on the writer and the story, and that's my answer really. I get it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say there's two main things: lack of originality, or originality to make it good, and clunky writing. There might be writing styles that don't click with you, but you can still recognise they're good quality.
Yeah.
And the same, but originality, if it doesn't have originality, I won't like it.
I think the things that I look for in books are, one, to be entertained, number two, to be challenged, whether that's intellectually or in any other way. But if I don't get any entertainment or any challenging, then it won't click with me. And then if it's a bad book, like Will said, it's done in such a heavy-handed way, not subtle, maybe there's no nuance to it, I would say that.
But I don't think I've ever... Well,
but there are books that are bad that I enjoy.
I don't think you can call that bad, though. Because I think people have to remember, same with music, you could be the best musician but not have what I'd say is good music. Because at the core, you have to be entertained.
Yeah.
You have to be entertained. And whether that's intellectually, if it's educational, if you want to be informative...
But a musician could be technically gifted.
But not
delivering on the entertainment.
It's like part of my problem with John Mayer. He's known as one of the best guitarists on the planet. I really like some of his music, but a lot of it I don't find entertaining to listen to. Even though I can tell how talented he is.
The thing about him is that he's incredible and doesn't use his actual... Well, doesn't anymore use his actual guitar skills.
Well, I saw with his latest album, I didn't think he does, but apparently there's things in there that he's done that have never been done before.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't sound lovely to me.
But it's a good question.
Very good question. Thank you, Beth. We'll be talking about that for a long time.
Yeah.
But then Andrew recently joined the Discord, and it's been awesome to have your thoughts over on there. And thank you for the upcoming questions. So, what's the first book you remember reading, having read to you? And so I said Malice is what made me fall in love with fantasy, but Papa Gwin read The Hobbit to me, and also The Magician's Nephew. Two classics, of course. It's not going to be a fresh take on kind of a really new book that no one else has discovered that we were introduced to. No, it was The Hobbit and Magician's Nephew, and I just adored them both.
Yeah, very nice. I mean, one of the first books, it's probably not one of the first books he read, or he described to me, because sometimes we'd go for a walk and he would tell me a book story, but it's one of the first books that I remember, like really remember as a core memory. He was telling me about it.
Oh my word, the exact same.
Yeah, he would take us on a walk. We would go for a walk probably in the evening, about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Be really dark where we live. Take the dogs for a walk, and he would tell me the story of it and Pennywise and the drains, and it terrified me.
Yeah.
I respect him for it, because I will probably do that to Iris. But yeah.
It's the influence parents have. You'll probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then next up, if you could have an author interview of anyone, dead or alive, who would it be? I think I'm going to say 3.
No.
I'm going to say 3.
Just choose one.
No.
So
number 1, Robin Hobb.
That's it.
No. I can't. I'm sorry. Because everyone, of course, wants to interview Tolkien. I would adore that. But Robin Hobb... that would be absolutely incredible. And then also I'm going to say Jay Kristoff. I think that would be such a fun interview.
Yeah.
But then also, I imagine his writing thoughts are so insightful.
Yes. Yeah. I think I've watched every interview he's done now.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's so good. He's so good at talking. So are we choosing it 2?
You can choose however many you want. I cheated, so you can cheat as well.
I would possibly choose Frank Herbert.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I did not expect that.
I know. I would choose Colin McCarthy, but he just, every interview he had, not interested in talking about writing. So I think maybe Frank Herbert and Amanda Scott.
Yeah, Amanda Scott's up there. I was just looking at my
Robert Lowe, I would have loved to have had on the channel. Or Larry McMurtry. Oh, imagine interviewing Larry McMurtry about Lonesome Dove. Yeah. That would be incredible.
Bernard Cornwell as well.
I just think you actually have interviewed him.
In written form.
Written form. No, do not disregard written form.
No, but I'm just... That actually blew my mind. That was before we were on YouTube. Or it was just as we were starting, and I remember thinking this is fake. It's not. I remember we were in like a study session at the time, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was for a project I was doing, and I was actually in that lesson.
It's pretty cool.
It's just incredible. But yeah, great question. And then what book that you own is your favourite? Special edition, sentimental? Ed, talk about yours as I stand up and grab mine.
This is not fair, because I haven't actually got it to hand. I do think I think my first edition of Wrath by Papa Gwin, which is the book that is dedicated to me. I think that book...
Not that you like to say it much.
...is my favourite because of... And just because of how special it is to me.
Very nice. I have got Malice by Papa Gwin, the Grimoke Press edition. There's art inside of some of my favourite scenes ever. We've talked about Toll. He's probably my favourite side character by Papa Gwin.
Yeah.
And there's art of him in here. What more can you ask for? And that new cover, Storm and Korban, is just utterly incredible. Yeah. And could you pass me the Broken Binding Malazan, please, Ed? I think it might be recency bias, but I think for just like how amazing the cover is, and all next to each other in the sprayed edges, this is utterly wonderful from the Broken Binding. And so Malice, and it would be my number one, big, and then this is below, because I'm not really that attached to Malazan.
Yeah.
Red Book 1, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, recency bias perhaps, but it looks magnificent.
Very nice. And I do have a hardcover of Panther in the Sky by James Alexander Thom, which is one of my most prized possessions.
Very nice. And then, Leslie, you asked about what book got you into fantasy. We've answered that. But thank you for your question. Thank you for being such an active member on the Discord. And then Andrew said, are there any authors you love who you feel are underrated by booktubers or readers in general? 100%.
Yeah.
First one springs to mind, Mike Shackle.
Yeah.
This series... should be
the lack
one
of Shackle appreciation offends me.
It's with there's books we love, such as Blood Meridian, that we understand a lot of people are going to hate this book.
Yeah.
Mike Shackle's Last War trilogy, I feel like it should be one of the top 5 recommended fantasy series.
Yeah.
I don't see how someone won't at least enjoy this. Yeah. Of course, there'll be some that do, but it's just utterly fantastic. I think it's one that everyone can enjoy, even if they don't love it, and so underrated. Shauna Lawless, School Song needs some more love. Yeah. It does get a lot of love, but I think it needs more.
Yeah.
Fantastic historical fantasy that's got political machinations at the core, but escalates to a great climax as well. Let me scan
I'm gonna be silly, and I'm gonna say Joe Abercrombie, because I think even though lots of people have read Joe Abercrombie, I do think he should be on the level of George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Because his writing is that good, and I can't put my finger on why he's not in that same conversation, taking the TV show aside. Why. Tell me why.
I might be wrong, but I think if you look at the series people love the most, you've got Malazan, Wheel of Time, Lord of the Rings, A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
They all have so much lore that you could study them and still not know everything.
Yeah.
And the amount of discourse that produces. Often you love a series more when you can talk about it to people. I think Joe Abercrombie...
You've got theories out there.
Exactly.
You've got conspiracy theory videos about it and all sorts.
And there's so much...
dives into this faction, this clan.
And it means there's always more to look forward to, because there's so much that there's lore about you haven't dived into. Joe Abercrombie...
is it because he hasn't got a map? That's why.
No, I don't think that's right. But I think Joe Abercrombie is such an efficient writer. He doesn't really have fat to it.
Yeah.
That's one of the charms, that people don't really have to get into something that's so expansive and they need to get their notepad out. But I think that means that he's just not got to that level quite yet. Maybe there'll be expansions
the depth
in the future.
Of the world then. It's funny because obviously a lot of people aren't huge on world building.
No.
You don't need to have the most... Brandon Sanderson does intense world building.
Yeah, Cosmo, that's another example.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't see the same level of hype about the world to a Sanderson book as I do The Song of Ice and Fire or even The Farseer, even Realm of the Elderlings.
I was going to say that's probably same thing as Joe Abercrombie.
Yeah.
It's so character focused. I think that Robin Hobb, she should be the same level as George R. R. Martin.
Yes, yeah.
Utterly incredible.
Yeah. Which she kind of was when they were writing at the same time.
And I would say that, obviously, Joe Abercrombie, he's got so much love. And he didn't invent grimdark, but he's thrust it into the limelight.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, he's a huge author. Let's see what happens. Maybe with Adaptation incoming, he is going to launch that whole new level.
The best I've called I think it'll be incredible. Rebecca Ferguson is so Monza, isn't she?
Yeah. Thanks for that question, Andrew. That's fantastic. Next up, a question from Otto. If you could grab a coffee, beer, tea, or whatever, and have a chat with one character from any novel, who would it be? I mentioned him already. It's Brasty Goodbow. There's so many characters I'd
have a Guinness with him.
Yeah, because he's just so much fun, and I think I'd cry of laughter.
Yes, good choice. I was going to say Anton Chigurh, but I think Brasty Goodbow.
No.
Yeah.
There's a question incoming. I would bring my own coin. Oh, well, it's literally the next question is what I was thinking. So by Beth is, what is a character you love reading about but would leave your drink unfinished to avoid meeting?
Brasty Goodbow.
Chigga. Brasty Goodbow. Chigga. I would be out like that.
Yeah.
I would not be within 500 feet of him.
Good choice.
No, actually, 500 miles.
Yeah. I would say Svik, because I know that wherever Svik goes, there's not going to be any cheese.
Oh,
and I have to be somewhere with a reach to cheese.
That's true. That is true. Next up, Esme said, if you had to spend an entire year together with one of your dad's fictional characters, who would you choose?
Now, Esme is someone who's read every book 3 times in the whole world.
Yeah.
Thank you, Esme, for the great question and the support.
I'm thinking...
I love animals, so I'd have to choose Storm. But if it wasn't Storm, I would probably choose Cullen, because Cullen's such a
great company.
He's good company.
Although
he'd probably get me in trouble after a week.
I think Corban.
Yeah.
Just might seem like the boring answer as the main character, but
Corban is the best character ever written.
Corban, and then also, what was your favourite memory together? Cool, that's a question and a half.
Whoa.
I'd have to say a recent favourite is you asked me to be best man with a video. I can have it pop up actually.
As the actor who plays Gavin, that you will do a better job for Ed and his fiancée.
You can.
We love Gavin and Stacey, so Ed asked the main actor to ask me to be best man.
Matthew Horn.
I think my face was of utter shock and confusion.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's actually a video of that as well. But yeah, that's up there for me. Thanks, brother.
That's right. Another recent one for me was what Will actually organised for my birthday, a secret D&D night with my best friends, and me and Sadie were setting up, because we sell antique furniture, we were setting up at a fair down the road from us, and Will called me saying, your studio's locked, but I need to grab a book, and I was like so annoyed that I had to drive back because they were selling burgers there, and I was really excited to go grab a burger. And Sadie was in on the surprise, and she was like, no, I think we should go back and let Will in. And I was like, well, he can wait because I'm hungry. Anyway, I got home and our best friends were in the studio wearing their D&D stuff. Will,
you were a bit moody with me when you turned out, weren't you?
Will and Travis had set up the room, so there were like Rohirrim banners everywhere and lights around the room, and Domino's pizza was ready, so it was just great. And that made me feel really special.
No, you just got to trust me.
I do now, but now I expect. What surprises it? And you're like, no, I'm genuinely locked out.
I just need a book. Yeah.
So that was a good one. Another one would have to be when we were driving to go see Dan Jones and the Broken Binding event. We're helping him.
Fantastic.
And me and Will were on the way, and I said to Will, whatever you do not direct me onto the motorway. And he directed me on the motorway. And even
not on purpose,
even though I was angry and I said a lot of curse words in the car, it's the first time, because if I swear, William would tell me off. It's the first time he didn't tell me off. And
so
he just took the barrage and he was like this.
I'm sorry.
And that was a good moment.
Yeah. It's made for a good story.
I can laugh now.
Yeah, I can do it again because we'll talk about it in a few years in life. No. But I've been on a motorway intentionally and you haven't yet. So surely you're not going to let the younger brother prevail with that.
I prefer B roads.
But thank you, Esme. That was a great question. And now, Violetta again. What is the best thing that has happened to you since joining the book community? So I guess we'll keep it Booktube related. We've had some incredible chances with interviews. Abercrombie, Cressida Cow, so many others that are just... I can't believe it. Dan Jones. What a chat that was.
Yeah.
But then also talking to people like Philip Chase, a wonderful human being and someone who's so interesting, and I cannot wait for the future chats with him. It is, of course, the community. We joined this to talk about reading, and it's hard to boil it down to just one event. But then I also think Papa Gwin's signings. It was amazing to meet people we've talked to so much online, meet them in person.
Yeah.
And that was just an incredible experience.
Yeah, I would definitely say going to a Papa Gwin signing. I mean, interviewing him in Waterstones in Brighton was pretty cool, although I didn't feel like we were on our best form.
No.
I was like, ugh! But it was really, really fun. I think when we first got the interview for Joe Abercrombie, that blew our mind. Thank you to Matt from The Broken Binding.
That was insane.
Total legend for hooking us up with that. I think my favourite chat would have to be when we spoke with Papa Gwin and Philip Chase and Not So Wise Sam.
That was great.
That was great.
Although it was a bit sad for me because my internet kept dropping out, and so I was getting serious FOMO.
Sorry.
Yeah, great. And then Rebecca said, did Papa Gwin make up stories for you when you were little? So he didn't necessarily make up stories. Obviously, he talked about the Faith and the Fallen, but he added scenes to like books like The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Like our favourite line in it was in the scene where the trolls have captured the dwarves and Bilbo.
Bill?
Yeah.
No, Bert, sorry.
Bert, yeah.
Bert picks up Bilbo, and Dad has said, you look like a skinny rabbit. And that would just make us wet ourselves laughing.
The way he did it.
We were children, so it's allowed.
And then read the book, and then at the time when I got to kind of reading age, the films are coming out of The Hobbit, and it wasn't in there. And I was like, what? Papa Gwin had made it up. So we can say he made up the best line in The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite...
It would have been way funnier if Bert said, you look like a skinny rabbit.
Yeah, it would have made it even better.
I agree.
And then, is Mama Gwyn a reader? I think she struggles sometimes with reading.
Yeah.
But she does love it.
Mama Gwyn has the attention span of a squirrel.
But she does love reading.
In the nicest way. And I love squirrels.
I was very worried last year when I saw she had a book titled How to Murder Your Family and Get Away with It.
But luckily she only read the first page.
Yeah, so she never found out.
She's a big fan of audiobooks at the moment. Really enjoying that.
And a big crime reader.
Yes.
Which is getting a bit scary.
But the thing with Mama Gwyn is that she actually has read a lot in her life, but she doesn't know any book title or author. So when she first went to a book event with Papa Gwin, a lot of the agents, editors, authors were saying to her, what books do you read? And she was just like, I don't know. And then Dada had to tell them. Papa Gwin. So yeah.
But yeah, she's a reader and hopes to read more lately.
She started reading something I've written, actually.
We might talk about that in a few questions. Yeah. And then another one from Rebecca is, have you always got on well, or did you fight when you were small? So I'm going to say it from my perspective. You've already said about when I was born. I'd say we've always had good times together, but we argued so much until I think I started college. So when I was 16. Yeah. And suddenly we just realised, we've got a lot of similar interests, actually. Right.
Yeah.
And then we've got closer and closer since then.
Yeah. I would say Will always had potential.
It's my fault then, is it?
I think lots of things I did wound you up, and Will is on the autistic spectrum, so a lot of things that maybe I didn't understand. Autism, it's the way I do now, especially as I was a primary school teacher. So I've encountered lots of children with special needs and extra needs and so on and so forth. But I think since I've had a better understanding, and since we've grown up to, when you were about 16, 17, then since then we started to really, really get along. And then we realised we were best friends.
Yeah.
I think we were always best friends anyway. But if we'd play FIFA, you'd probably beat me and I would get really angry.
You trained me from such a young age.
Play tennis, you'd beat me and I'd get really angry. Play football, I'd beat you and I'd get really angry.
You would kick it in my face on purpose.
No, I did that once by accident. I'm sorry.
Once.
But doing karate together actually brought us closer.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah. But I think having hobbies together.
That's the thing. I think the older we got, the more we realised we've got similar hobbies.
Yeah.
And you're quite funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we don't have to be the same person to get along. We can be different.
Can we? Maybe. And so another question is, what are your favourite Booktube channels? There's too many to mention.
Yeah.
We've mentioned Philip already. I'm loving Spaced Out Wizards videos at the moment. I'm loving seeing kind of a lot of the book talkers come to Booktube. Chris and Mads, had a wonderful chat with them. Such lovely people and such interesting content.
I love watching Michael Kiss.
I was going to say...
Smitty.
Yeah. Great. Michael Kiss with the historical fiction and non-fiction recommendations.
Yeah,
top
absolutely.
Notch.
I think the channel I watch the most is probably Two to Ramble. Because I love their long-form content as well. So they're all amazing.
All just incredible.
Yeah.
I just want to name thousands more. There's so many.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really nice seeing kind of more people joining Booktube now. We've got favourite video you guys have done together. So,
do you know what? We recently recorded a Gardens of the Moon video, and to me, it just felt like it came across really well. So yeah, I'm excited for people to see that. They've probably seen it already, actually. No, Will's the schedule master. We all know he's like the mentat. You're Howard. So yeah, I think Guns of the Moon was one that we've recorded together. Was really, really fun. And then obviously that's not talking about interviews or anything, because interviews and other booktuber chats are always the top of the list.
Yeah, I think Guns of the Moon was fantastic. We love a good top 10 list.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Probably.
I do like the skits we've done for like Hunger of the Gods.
Yeah, Sword of Kaigan.
Dan Jones, Sword of Kaigan was fun. We should do more skits.
We should do more.
I think we should do more.
You are a bit of a maestro of that. You think of the ideas. I think I'm more the logistics guy. We can do it this way, but you get those sparks.
I'm Jeremy Clarkson.
And I have to tell you in slightly.
You are Cheerful Charlie.
Yeah. I mean, without Cheerful Charlie, there'd be chaos.
Exactly.
And then next up, favourite Papa Gwin book. How could you ask that question? But I would say Ruin. Like I said earlier, I think Boswell Saga is the best written series. I'd say Hunger of the Gods, I think, is Papa Gwin's best written book. But the sentimentality to Ruin, and it ruins you, I think.
It does.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
And Papa Gwin, when I asked him what book he prided himself in, The Faith and the Fallen, he said Ruin.
Yeah, it's a good point. Is that the one dedicated to you?
Yeah.
Git.
One of them.
I would say my favourite Papa Gwin book is Malice, and it will always be Malice, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the next question is, would you consider having a small YouTuber on your channel or joining a small YouTuber? Of course, we always love conversations. That's why we're here. That's why Ed said we started.
Yeah.
It's true. We would absolutely love to.
The thing is, though, we're always meaning to organise more and more YouTuber stuff, more and more chats with people, more and more author interviews. It's just hard for us both to be free.
Yeah.
But we are making a conscious effort this year to try and do as much of that. If someone ever asks us, we will always say yes.
Of course. And then last question from Tweet C. I keep nearly saying Sweet T. Tweet C is favourite hobby other than reading. For me, it is sport, tennis in particular.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. I'm not fantastic. My voice dropped an octave there.
I mean, tennis and badminton.
Well, England hates tennis because the wind and rain.
Yeah, it is hard to play. I'd definitely say those. Or when I did reenactment, I think it's always just so much fun.
And for you used to be guitar, bass.
Yeah, music's a big thing. I haven't played for a while. I think since we've had Iris, I haven't played really.
But Ed is a very talented musician.
Bass guitar is my favourite thing to play.
Nice. And then Natasha, our patron, asked some questions earlier. Another one here is, what would be one book you would love to see made into a film, TV show? Here's the thing, there's a lot I love, but I don't think would be fantastic in adaptations. I'm going to check out a few. I think the Bloodsworn Saga, visually stunning. A bit of a smaller cast than The Faith and the Fallen. Orca, if that was cast right, would be magnificent.
Yeah.
I'm also going to say something that might be a bit more feasible, is Glorious Exploits. Like, say, a film of that, or just say one, like, extra long episode.
Yeah.
It would be incredible.
I would say...
I think Lord of the Rings would be quite good.
Could be good. Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
might be big.
Might be big.
I would say Red Rising.
Yes.
I think it's the bones are there to be an incredible, probably show.
Yeah.
Although the only thing with show is that they drag out stuff, don't they?
Yeah, but then also I'd say Red Rising, a lot of the best moments are the dialogue. So they wouldn't be lost in the screen adaptation.
Well, just Red Rising's got a great balance of dialogue and epicness and emotional moments as well. And so I'd say Dreaming the Eagle will be incredible because it's so epic and also intimate in scope and then epic. It's really got that Lord of the Rings feel to it, I would say. And I would also say I would love to see Red Country on the screen.
Mm-hmm. And I think we have to say this, it has to be a good adaptation. So that's why I'm going to say The Warlord Chronicles.
Ooh.
One that's actually about...
Have you watched the other one?
I'm not, because Derval's hardly even in it.
It's awful.
It's not The Warlord Chronicles. No. I don't get why not just do an Arthurian
I don't understand.
program instead of...
Imagine Guardians of the Moon as a film.
Wow, that would be some feat.
You couldn't do it. Guardians of the Moon itself would be like 5 seasons.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I wonder if I haven't read the others. Maybe they do them all at the same time.
Yeah.
But then Andrew has asked, are there any books where someone had to really twist your arm to get you to read it, which then became a new favourite for you? I say Guardians of the Moon. In the sense of, I knew I was going to read it at some point, but you were like, please read it now, please read it now.
Yeah.
And I read it now.
You make me sound like so begging.
I really enjoyed it. What else?
what have you made me read that I said? Oh, Gates of Athens.
Yeah, you did not want to read that because you'd read Gates of Fire and adored it. You're like, it's got Gates of in the title.
Conaghan's a bit cheeky to try and write about the same period of Greece. So yeah, Gates of Athens by Conaghan.
Yeah. Because most of the others were quite up for. Like, I recommend you Mike Shackle. You're happy to do that.
Yeah.
Wolf Den, Silence of the Girls, Rage of Dragons. I've decided a lot of your favourite books, haven't I? Meridian.
You did not twist my arm. That's not.
No. I'm saying that none of those were twisting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would say mine.
Yeah. Guns the Moon for me.
Cool.
Good question. Now, living the Swifty life. So here's a few questions for Ed. What made you want to become a farmer full-time and quit teaching?
Oh, good question. So I recently left teaching in December, was my last term of teaching, and it was a very, very big jump, very, very scary. But since then, it's been amazing, I'd say. It's been absolutely incredible because I work with animals most of my days, which is just so much fun.
You can't get better than Ted, can you?
I see my family. I see Mama Gwyn and Papa Gwin a lot more. I'm working less time than I was as a teacher. I've got a lot more time to the family. And the main reason was so I can be around for Iris more and also do more writing because I really want to become a full-time author. That's my dream. And there's a bit in teaching where you can get to the point where you're trapped, and I can always go back to teaching. So I had to jump ship now while I can, while there's still a skiff that I can jump in before it got too late. So I've given it a go. I'm absolutely loving everything. So and I love working with animals and horses and sheep and goats. So just being outdoors is amazing.
And then how did you meet Sadie?
Oh, good question. So I've been in love with Sadie for years and years and years. So I've known her since I was about 17 about 18, 17, 18.
Long time ago now.
Yeah, Mama Gwyn knew her first. They were friends. And Mama Gwyn sold antique furniture. And Sadie and her mum, her beautiful mum Liza, had a shop nearby us, which also is famous for selling wonderful antique furniture. So Mama Gwyn got a space in there, and then I would go and help her. And I'd always, gaze at Sadie, who was working in the shop, and I'd be too scared to talk to her. And I'd be desperate just for her to look at me or love me back. And it took a long time. I played the long game. It took about 8 years, 7-8 years for her to really decide that I was the man for her.
Yeah.
But she did message me to say, so basically Sadie has written a book, and it is self-published on Amazon. It's a journal about mental health, and she was asking Papa Gwin about advice, and he told her that me and Will have a Booktube channel, and then she messaged me on Instagram saying, when's your next YouTube video coming out? So technically, Booktube got me my fiance and a baby.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's a good question.
And then did you see the message? Actually, first up, what's your favourite genre other than fantasy?
Both of us would say historical fiction.
Historical fiction.
Yeah.
And then did you see the message taught the Swifty life 5 or 6 years ago.
Read them. Oh wow!
Your channel is epic, as I'm a lover of books. My friend, who also used to teach, showed me your channel about a year ago, and I've been hooked ever since. Booktube is a happy place for me. Time has gone so fast.
Are these on Discord?
Yeah.
Wow, the Swifty life. You'll have to let me know what class you're in. Thank you for joining our Discord. Thanks for watching Booktube. I hope you're enjoying reading. Hopefully, you also enjoyed the lessons I taught years ago.
You started 6 years ago.
6 years ago is a long time.
Wow, that is crazy. And then some questions from me.
Must have been first class.
Ed has Sadie and Iris. Do you have a partner? Any kids? I don't have children, but I do have a partner. I've been with my girlfriend Faith for over a year.
But you gotta have faith, the faith, the faith.
Yeah, got to sing that every single time.
Yep.
Yeah.
You do have a kid.
Ted, okay, the goat. I was very confused. Yeah, he is the goat in both senses of the word. And then, what do you plan to do after leaving uni? So is Booktube going to be full-time, or do you have something else in mind? I think that's not really feasible to have Booktube full-time.
Could be cool, though.
It would be cool.
Imagine the content, Will.
But part of me, I'm entertaining the idea of staying in education, as I will aim to do a master's after my degree. Also, I would love to start a bookshop. I think there's a lot of potential to be done. People getting back into reading.
Wow.
People always talk about how is reading going to die. I just can't see that. It's just there's so many people wanting to read it, and there's so many more
never
ways
read that.
to get into it. Never read that. And potentially go into law as well. And then my dream job would be to be an actor. So if Papa Gwin ever gets a film deal,
you do bring in the drama.
I'm going to say that part of his contract has to be that I get cast. Not to the detriment of the programme or the film, but I want to be there.
Will is a very good actor. He can make himself cry, so that's why. And I know he's a good actor because the arguments we've had in our life, where we then go and tell Mama Gwyn and Papa Gwin about it, and they cast judgment because they are judge, jury, and executioner. Then Will was able to cry on
I
demand.
can swear I have never.
Don't
ever...
swear. This is a family-friendly channel.
You know what, Ed? We were doing so well. We were getting on, but no. That facade is dropping now. I'm not happy. And then what's your favourite thing about being the younger brother? You've taught me many things to copy you and many things to avoid. In the nicest way possible.
I made a lot of mistakes and I've macheted the path.
Yeah, you've macheted the path, and I have learned from them. And then question for both of us, would either of you ever consider following...
from James, really, but...
Yeah. Would any of you consider following in your dad's footsteps and writing your own book? So I talked about mine earlier. Ed, what's the answer to that?
Yeah, so I have officially finished my first ever book. And it's a fantasy book inspired by Native American history. So just rephrase,
it's the first book you've finished. You've written about 4 or 5 different projects.
I've started a few projects, but this one is my most serious, probably I would say my best attempt. And I am just halfway through the editing process at the moment. And Sadie and her mum Liza are currently reading it. Mama Gwyn's currently reading it. It's ready for Will and Papa Gwin to be reading it when they're ready. So hopefully everything goes well. And it is able to be submitted to an agent.
I mean, from what I've read, I'm not just saying this because I'm very willing in a constructive way to criticise you, aren't
William and Papa Gwin are brutal readers.
But it is so good. And I cannot wait to read the rest. Stupid uni taking over the reads at the moment. But I cannot wait. And thank you for all those questions. And amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Ed, you taught.
It's pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you very much for the question.
Back to Andrew. As readers of historical fiction, what's your favourite period of history to read about? I think for me, there's a great line between periods we don't know too much about. So it's based on historical fact, but then kind of exploring regions we don't know everything about.
Yeah.
So I love kind of ancient Greece, ancient Rome, Dark Ages Britain. Of course, that period is not called the Dark Ages anymore, but if any place or period is going to be called the Dark Ages, it would be applied to Britain after the Romans left.
Yeah.
That's why I love kind of the Arthurian legend, but from a historical perspective. Something we basically know nothing about, have no written sources.
Yeah.
And I just find that fascinating.
I think my favourite period to read about is the 19th century American West, the expansion of the frontier, as well as reading about the various Native American cultures, because even though it might be a melting pot, there's just their cultures were so diverse and their mythologies and histories. And it's such a strange period of history because it's so recent, so it feels so modern. But because a lot of Native American cultures spread their history and stories through, or word of mouth, they didn't write things down. That is still so many mysteries to us in a Western civilization and culture. So yeah, no, that's fascinating. I mean, the cultures and periods I'd love to read more about would be the Maya, the Aztec. I would also love to read about the Galatians, who were this band of Celts who lived in Anatolia in the classical civilization. That's really cool that they moved from Gaul all the way to modern day Turkey. And they even tried to conquer part of Greece through that, but we don't know too much about them. They fought against the Romans and the Parthians and all sorts. They were kind of used as like mercenaries, so that's cool.
Yeah, I think a period I'd love to read more about is at the moment I'm doing a module on the barbarian kingdoms and for the Western Roman Empire, and I discovered the kind of the Frankish warrior queens, which is just not discussed. It's really weird. and it's so fascinating. Discover them through Tom Holland's, not Spider-Man, Tom Holland's podcast.
So why are they not discussed? Do you think it's because of Christian civilization?
What I think is there's a perception of kind of feminist movement being new.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, last few decades, we were talking about earlier, kind of the emergence of information about female warriors in Scandinavian society. And I think the same is kind of applied. Of course, there are limited sources, which is one reason.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You'd think they'd be discussed so much more.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Boudica is such an iconic figure.
Yeah.
And obviously there's Amanda Scott's series. But really, I don't really see Boudica talked about too much.
No.
And it needs to be more.
I agree.
Things that I just think are relevant to who we are now,
Nice.
being reflected in history. I'd love to read more about.
Wicked.
And then Douglas. So will Ed read the Silmarillion? When will Ed read the Silmarillion? And why won't Ed read the Silmarillion? So basically,
I read it a long time ago.
No, we'll skip over that though, because you're obviously in an immature period of your life because you didn't love it. So the question still stands.
I appreciated why you loved it because it had lots of family trees.
That's
William
not
loves
why.
family trees.
It's not why.
But I'm going to focus on live ships for now, and I'll read the Silmarillion. I will reread the Silmarillion another time.
But thank you, Douglas, for covering Ed and not me. But me in the next part is saying, you've already seen Covenant of Steel on my shelf, and then where's book 3? I know.
The thing is, you can't buy book 3 because it won't fit.
It will.
Will it?
But I just keep forgetting. It's terrible. I'm sorry. Does it really bother you? Maybe I'll leave it there. But yeah, I'm very sorry about that. And then Violetta, what mythology books would you recommend for different mythologies? So, Silence of the Girls. It's a very hard topic matter for Greek mythology, retelling of the Trojan War. And from Briseis' perspective, of course, it's very difficult. She is a slave to many of the key players of this story, Achilles, Agamemnon, etc. But it's one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah.
And one of the best writing styles, one of the best characterizations, the exploration of grief and just a need for survival is harrowing, but masterful and wonderful.
And I would say The Gospel of Loki by Joanne Harris is the best book for Norse mythologies. It's written in such a tongue-in-cheek, funny way, but it's also a really powerful story of Loki. He's the trickster god who's always going to be up to something fun. Nice.
And then next up is, would you ever consider writing a book or a book series together? We could be the new James S.A. Corey writing duo. We did actually try once. But we know we talked about how Ed goes through phases.
Yeah.
At that point, obviously, I think I was like 14, so terrible writer. I wrote a few chapters where it was basically like Dragon Hunters, but they're terrible, but they're somehow like survive and get onto the next
it's
quest.
Dragon Hunters set in the 15th century.
And I think we tried, but by the time I started writing it, I think my writing didn't give you any excitement. But then also you got onto your next phase by the time we actually planned it.
I'm notorious in my family for having mini obsessions, so that's why I'm surprised reading stuff for so long.
Yeah. That's why there's so many different genres. It's great. Isn't it?
Exactly. So I will become obsessed with something. I feel like an obsession with Warhammer is approaching. Me and Nikki are talking about Space Marines. I would love to write a book with Will. We have very different styles and visions, but I think that could also be really fun. I think at the core of our reading experiences, we find that we have the same things that we look for. So that's pretty cool. So I think we will one day.
Nice. One day.
Do you think we will one day?
I think it depends. Maybe I won't be a good enough writer. I think we will see.
I think we will.
You think we will?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Nice. Cool. Hopefully we will. Next up, Rob Attack. You and Ed have come to loggerheads, and you can pick one fictional warrior to defend your honour. Who have you got?
Who are you choosing?
Any parameters? No magic, shall we say?
No magic. Single hand combat.
I'm going to choose Fingolfin from the Silmarillion.
Oh dear, say goodbye. I'm going to choose the Bloody Nine.
Fingolfin's got
No way would Fingolfin... Okay, please let us know in the comments below who would win. Finn. He plays golf.
The Bloody Nine is my I prefer him as a character.
Golf.
But Fingolfin's got him.
Thin golf Finn. What does he bring? A 9-iron?
9 fingers.
A driver? What?
Oh, is that what? Go on, name another one, Ed.
Putt.
Oh, nice. To be fair, fair enough.
I've now exhausted. Oh, the wedge? Is the wedge?
Yeah. We've never played golf, as you can tell.
No, I played mini golf once.
Oh yeah, mini golf.
I don't enjoy it.
A friend of mine actually lost his 2 front teeth playing mini golf because his brother knelt down and shattered his teeth.
His brother knelt down?
And the
Putt?
Yeah.
The stick.
Went up and crushed his front 2 teeth, and he said it didn't hurt.
Crush
they just
is
shattered.
not a knife adjective.
It just hit an angle where they shattered, and it felt like dust. Anyway, apart from that violence, living the Swifty life is back, and it is the last question. Actually, there's a few that you need to read out that you were sent.
Oh, okay.
What is your favourite music artist band? That's so hard. If I had to choose one, it would be Chris Stapleton.
Yeah. I think when I was younger, it was Red Hot Chili Peppers, but now it would be Chris Stapleton, someone I could just put on when I'm in any mood. I do love Sade at the moment too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm wrong. We've got all mine from Instagram and Ed's as well. And so I'll read some that Ed got. Valia, great channel, Vera, said, out of the duo, who is the Gwynning life? Both of us, I'd say we're both doing quite well.
We're both Gwynning.
At the moment. And another question from Vera is, when you got into fights as kids, who would Gwyn? I do love the puns. You had the age advantage. Yeah. I mean, now it's me.
No, I'm much stronger. I'm much more agile.
No.
Yeah.
You're probably a bit stronger. You're not more agile.
No, I've lost my capabilities.
I've got
in karate.
I have got the stamina.
William had a move in karate where he would just kick my groin, and that was never. And people called him out on that, but my guard was punctured with your toenail.
Thing is, I would refuse to ever hit anyone in the face, and you had no such qualms.
No, because if you were kicking me in the balls, I've got to. Okay. But I will say it was a very good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And then next, do you ever read books that are less than 800 pages long? Every now and then, it's quite nice.
I try not to.
Yeah, we try not to, but...
I like my being an elitist book reader, but no, we do.
Elias, you're doing so well, and then you had to say, has Will read Live Ship yet? No comment.
We do need to make a t-shirt that says, have you read Live Ship?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Next up, what's your favourite fantasy book covers? I think The Bloodsworn, that's not us being biased. They are just standout, incredible.
The Devils that was released yesterday, as in not released, the Broken Binding edition, looks as incredible. Announced, that's the one.
That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are just utterly incredible. All but do so many great covers.
Yeah. I do love the Joe Abercrombie, the First Law covers as well.
Yeah.
Particularly the Heroes.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And yeah, I think they are just like a step above basically anything else. I do love the new Sword of Kaigan cover as well. And then any Brothers Gwynne merchandise coming out soon? Maybe. So we have been hard at work. It's Sadie who asked that.
Sadie, good question. Asked. Good question. That's a leading question, I think.
It is a leading question,
in the journalist business. But yeah, we have a merchandise store coming on Papa Gwyn's website very, very soon. So we shall link it, hopefully, if it's ready.
We will.
Very soon. But yeah, we've been very excited making merchandise. We've got a couple of different designers doing stuff for us. Yeah. So, and we've got a lot of other things in the pipeline too. So keep your eyes peeled. And keep your eyes peeled for any discounts as well on our Discord and other places. Nice.
And then my girlfriend Faith asked, how often do you grin a day? And so her whole family call me Grinner because I've known them for about 10 years. And our surname is Gwynne, but they misheard my surname as Grin, and especially because they said I smiled so much.
Yeah.
And so I'm now known as the Grinner. So I grin a lot. A lot of reading.
Team GB,
Faith makes me grin. You make me grin.
Who makes you grin more, Faith or...
That is a leading question. That is a leading question. And then, you know what? Actually, I'm going to say Faith. Do you know why? Because the next question is from you saying, have you read Live Ships?
Funny.
Poor timing. Papa Gwin said, who can eat more cheese? See, here's the thing. I feel a bit hard done by. You have become known as the cheese man. And you do love cheese.
Yeah.
But it's more... I adore cheese. And I also... Just because you're older, you've got all the credit, but I've eaten cheese by the block. At uni, I'm not exaggerating when I say a quarter of the money I spend on food is cheese. Do you go through 2 huge cheese blocks just by yourself a week?
Easy.
No.
Easy.
Prove it.
Easy XP.
Prove it. I want a vlog of the cheese of a week.
100% I could do
it then. Prove it.
Thing is, Will, what types of cheese do you eat?
Usually I just...
You're
you know
just,
what? I'm
you're
a uni
just
student.
no, you're just a cheddar man. I'm a Wensleydale. I love brie.
I was made actually a wonderful cheese spread the other day, so...
And what cheese were
Camembert.
they? Yeah.
Those goat's cheese.
Yeah. Gouda.
Some Lanzarote cheese as well. Pretty fantastic.
What is that?
I don't know, but it was in Lanzarote.
I actually had some Mexican cheese the other day. So it's called Mexican cheese. It's basically like a red Leicester with pepper and chili in. It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah, incredible. But truffle cheese, please try it.
I'll have to
I
try
put that
that.
in a burger the other day. It was great.
Nice. And then Ben Thompson said, your specialist subjects on Mastermind. I need to brush up on it a bit, but I think it'd be method acting for me. I became obsessed with method acting, the process, and actors that have taken those roles on.
Crying on the spot.
It's just something that I find fascinating. I guess it's the same with reading. The idea of attaching yourself to a character who's separate from you, but you can relate to, even if they're so different. I find it just incredible. Bit scary at times with the actors and the roles they've taken, but really fascinating.
Mine would have to be Lord of the Rings, the films would be my Mastermind subject.
Yeah. Trivial Pursuit used to always win.
When I did the film Trivial Pursuit,
yeah,
I'm unbeaten. Yeah, or probably the Faith and the Fallen characters.
Although when I was basically bullying Ed, he had his A-levels exams, and every day I got home, I had a water pistol and I would just spray you, and you said that it was really getting to you.
It was damaging my mental health, and you find that funny?
I said we'll do a competition, and whoever, adjudicated by Mama and Papa Gwin, can write down the most Papa Gwin characters in 3 minutes wins. And at that point, there's no Bloodsworn in the works. Who wrote the most characters?
Thing is, that is not true, because a lot of my characters were disqualified for some reason, because I read Malice before it came out.
No, we allowed them.
No.
We allowed
I
them.
had original character names and original characters that were deleted in the first manuscript of Malice. So when it was called So Deep Malice.
Sorry, my hearing must be going, because all I'm hearing is excuses.
Do you know what Gar's name was?
Avulgar.
Pardon?
Avulgar.
Athulgar. TH. Athulgar. But it's a double D.
Wow.
It's Welsh.
Wow.
Oh dear. What a shame. Apparently,
Are you sure?
Apparently, Nether's... Oh, I can't say it. It's a spoiler, isn't it?
Anyway. Right. Are you boys going to be playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2?
100%. I've been so excited for this game. I loved the first one. I'm actually going to be doing a video soon on books to read if you like Kingdom Come Deliverance. I'm going to finish editing my book, and then my treat will be to binge Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, binge Rome 2. Probably won't see anyone for a few months, and I'm just going to just play.
Nice.
Play.
I mean, the only time I played in the last 2.5 years is when you asked me to play Baldur's Gate with you, which was awesome.
I just think I'm so busy with uni.
That's not why.
It's not big or cool.
I just often think, when I see a game,
Yeah.
I think Red Dead, God of War, they've kind of ruined other games for me.
Also true.
And I'd rather read,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Kingdom Come Deliverance. And then you said you might do a video talking about, if you love Kingdom Come Deliverance, read this. And so hopefully we'll see that soon on the channel. Shay's Library said, what are some milestones you guys are proud of? Meeting authors, hitting sub goals. I mean, we've talked about it, but quick summaries. Some of those author interviews, such as Dan Jones, getting the opportunity, which is because of this channel, that we were allowed to interview Papa Gwin at Waterstones.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Amazing to have to be able to ask Papa Gwin in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And C.L. Clarke, and then I was allowed to interview R.J. Barker alongside Papa Gwin. Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And
hard agree.
I can't believe how, that we've hit, I think, 11,600 subscribers. It's crazy.
700.
Absolutely mental.
Yeah. Amazing.
And then that's a bit later, Travis's question. We've got Robin Reed's book said, did you always get along growing up? So we've answered that. It was a bit topsy-turvy, but now it's smooth waters. And the next question, what book were you sure you'd love but ended up disliking?
Wolf Hall.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Wolf Hall
Sadly
had one of the best first chapters I've ever read, and then the rest of it went decidedly downhill. I'd say that and The Way of Kings.
Okay. For me, it was The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. I'd read Dissolution, and I heard it's a bit similar.
But better.
And I just thought it was terrible. Really sad.
We hate to be negative, don't we? And
We
it's
do.
rare, so yeah.
And then Irish Pat Brown said, "Babe, you read Dresden Files by Jim Butcher," and then said, "Have no babe, lol." So I'm guessing he meant, "Have you read Dresden Files by
Babe?
Jim Butcher?"
Babe, you read?
I have not.
No, urban fantasy isn't really my jam. I've just dipped my toes. I've dipped my probably up to my like mid calf level with the Greenbone Saga, which I really enjoyed. So yeah.
Yeah. And then someone said, "I love you both." That's it. Thank you. That
Thank
is
you.
lovely
That's
to
kind.
say. And then, best book of all time. That's a nasty question. I'm gonna have to say, Ruin, or The Road. I think Ruin for enjoyment, but if we're saying other than Papa Gwin, The Road, Royal.
Best book.
Or okay, Ruin.
Okay, but if it wasn't Papa Gwin, The Road.
The Road.
Okay, I would say best Papa Gwin book. I would say his best book is Shadow of the Gods. My favourite is Malice, but Shadow of the Gods.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the best book of all time that's not Papa Gwin's, probably Lonesome Dove.
Really? Over Blood Meridian?
Yeah. Wow. Because it's 900 pages.
Cool.
Yeah.
Crikey.
Maybe 850.
Next question is favourite Bloodsworn Saga book cover. Hunger of the Gods. For me.
Shadow of the Gods for me. Nice and quick.
Part of it is, just that first look we got.
Yeah,
Incredible.
I think seeing the concept that I came up with for the first time is widely disputed.
Papa Gwin.
Everyone says Papa Gwin came out with this, but I highly disagree. But that's fine. I can't prove it because whatever.
It's a sad life, isn't
It
it,
is
Ed?
sad life.
And next up, that voracious reader, thank you for this question. So what's the one common thing that makes you smile the hardest, apart from family and books?
I was
Animals?
going to say Iris.
Animals?
Animal. I think swords.
I don't usually smile at a sword.
I do.
Whereas, when I see Ted outside or
Yeah.
Potter, I grin.
Yeah, horses and swords. I would also say whenever Brighton score. It's a good one
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Shoes.
Shoes. You love a pair of
Shoes make
shoes.
me smile.
Pens, stationery for me. Sorry, we realised my phone died after we answered the rest of the questions.
Damn it!
I know. So we have to have my phone on charge, which means we can't have the microphone in. So the audio might sound a bit different. Please bear with us for the last 5 minutes. The next question is from Gaurav Mohanty, brilliant
Legend.
author. Cannot wait to read book 2, which is within has reach. Dance of Shadows. He asked, have you ever disagreed on a book where one loved it and the other didn't? I love the Silmarillion. You didn't.
I would say Wolf Hall. For me, I did not love it.
And I did. Yeah. And then one which I still really, really enjoyed is your favourite Abercrombie book is The Heroes. It's in your top 10 books of all time. I really enjoyed it, but I preferred Red Country. So we've had quite a few disputes over that. And no aggression. Not with the camera on, Ed.
Say hello.
Not with the camera on.
Okay.
Laura said, did you play pranks on your bro? And if yes, which one was best? There isn't a did, there's a do, because I still make you jump so much. I adore it. I love it. I love sneaking up on you.
William's good at squeezing into tight spaces. He's like Gollum. So there was a cupboard in a dressing room once upon a time, probably a year ago, maybe a couple of years ago. And he squeezed himself into it, closed the door on it, and this cupboard's like built into the ceiling right at the top.
So imagine all of this is
It's
just a normal
probably
door.
it was probably about this
top
big,
shelves.
and he squeezed into it. And then Mama Gwyn said, "Ed, open the door." I did, and he jumped onto me and fell onto me.
Pretty cool, huh?
I once I once got a raw egg, covered it in chocolate, gave it to Will for Easter, saying I made him a chocolate egg. He then ate it without actually realising it was a raw egg.
I thought it was a little bit funny, but I thought he's being
Did
so
it tell
nice
any
to me.
jokes?
It didn't tell jokes, but it was before. You don't understand the yolk. It was before we were close, as we talked about earlier. I was about 13, and I just thought, wow, he's being nice. I can't say this is horrible, and I ate the raw egg. I didn't realise it was raw though.
Yeah.
Next question is, has Papa Gwyn started writing anything new? We can't say many details, but we can say yes, he is. We're very excited about it. It's close to our hearts, and we can't say anything else.
Yeah,
But yes, he is. And then Travis, our D&D leader, our DM,
God.
said that for £1 billion, you must cross an Olympic swimming pool with 2 times gators in. Would you? No, I can't really swim. I'm not going to risk death. Whereas you said yes.
You know those podcasts where it's like those guys talking and they're like, could you fight a gorilla?
Yeah.
And one of them's always like, yeah, I'm that guy.
You're that guy.
I would try it. I can't swim, but I would try.
But the thing is, there's no like retake. There's no quick save, Ed. You're gone if they get you.
You did save me.
No, I can't. And then someone said, which was the last book you enjoyed so much that you wish you could read it for the first time again?
We have the same answer here. 3, 2, 1.
The Daughter's War. Because there's many books that I enjoy reading more on a second time. But this, I love all the twists and turns, and I think just discovering them for the first was wonderful.
Completely agree.
And then Mama Gwyn said, love you both. Thank you, Mama Gwyn.
Love you too.
Hope you've made it this far through the video. And then, do you like living in the UK? Would you rather live somewhere else? I love the UK. The weather does upset me sometimes, but it is a beautiful place. A lot of historic sites. And I do wish Durham was closer to home.
Yeah.
But up at Durham, it's absolutely beautiful.
I would love to live somewhere else. We have so many family members here that I wouldn't be able to, but I would love to maybe one day try Canada or Japan or somewhere in the Mediterranean. Would be amazing. Sicily or Greece would be just amazing. But yeah, I would love to try somewhere new. The weather is awful here, Will.
It is.
It's very dreary. So yeah.
There we go. That is our video. Thank you so much to everyone who's taken the time to submit questions and listen to the answers. It's amazing we've made it 4 years into Booktube and we're still just loving it and can't see any end to that. The amount of recommendations we've got from this community is fantastic and I'm looking forward to the next hidden gem.
Thank you so much for all the support over the last few years, guys. And here's to 4 more years, fingers crossed. But yeah.
And keep your eye on the merch. I mean, if you love Papa Gwyn's books, which of course you all do, we've put a lot of time into making these. Obviously, we're not artists. We haven't done the designs. Thank you to those that have.
Yeah.
But we're just so passionate about Papa Gwyn's books that it's amazing to see some characters, scenes, interpretations just come across. And we're proud of it. And hopefully some people enjoy it as well.
Yeah. But thank you very much, everyone. Truth and courage, the Brothers Gwyn.
The Brothers Gwyn.